When the gray mist came without warning and turned millions into something hungry and civilization into hunting grounds, Mountain Rescue Officer Jack Coleman was forced to make a choice that cost him everything. Today, he received 2 distress calls simultaneously from students lost in the mountains and from his own family in a dying city. Some decisions cannot be made correctly. You can only learn to live with the consequences.
Today's Thursday, I think, or Friday. I've lost count of the days. My name is Emily Hart. I'm 21 years old. I'm a student at the University of Denver, biology major. If someone finds this recording, tell my mom I love her. Please. We came on this hike a week ago. There were 6 of us. Me, Mike, Brad, Lisa, Tom, and Jenny, celebrating the end of the semester. We wanted to spend a week in the mountains, away from the city, away from people. The first 3 days were wonderful. We laughed, sang by the campfire, took selfies on the peaks. Mike even asked me out. I said I'd think about it. Now I regret not saying yes right away. 3 days ago, we got lost. GPS failed. Just stopped working. The compass spun like crazy. We descended into the canyon, found a cave, decided to wait out the night. And then the fog came. Gray, very thick, cold. We could see our breath even though it was summer. We tried to leave in the morning, but got lost 10 meters from the cave. Walked in circles, came back, decided to wait. There's something in the fog. We hear sounds, footsteps, grinding, like someone sharpening knives on stones, whispers in some language I don't understand, and breathing, heavy, raspy. Yesterday Mike said he was going for water at the stream. Said 100 meters, I'll be back in 5 minutes. We let him go. A minute later, we heard his scream. He screamed for 10 minutes. 10 minutes he cried and moaned in pain. Do you understand? We stood at the cave entrance and listened as our friend was being torn apart in the fog, and then came silence. In the morning, I went out. At the entrance lay his boot, just a boot. Inside was a foot up to the ankle, cut off cleanly, like with a surgical instrument. The rest they took. There are 5 of us left. Food ran out the day before yesterday. Brad says we have to leave, that they'll find us dead here. Lisa's afraid to go out. She seems to have had a panic attack that hasn't stopped for 2 days. Tom is silent, sits in the corner, rocks back and forth. Jenny is crying. If someone hears this recording, help us, please. We're in a cave on the eastern slope of Devil's Head Canyon. The coordinates of the last signal were... God, I don't remember. They're getting closer. I hear footsteps. They're scratching the rocks at the entrance. Soon they'll come in. Soon.
Good morning to everyone listening. This is Jack Coleman, leader of the Colorado Emergency Services Search and Rescue Team. We're at base camp at the foot of Pikes Peak, elevation 2,400 meters. It's 6:15 a.m. right now, temperature 64 degrees, Clear skies, excellent visibility. Perfect conditions for an operation. 4 days ago, a group of 6 students from the University of Denver went missing. Young people, ages 20, 22, went on a week-long hike in the Devil's Head Canyon area. Last GPS signal was recorded 3 days ago at an elevation of 3,200 meters. After that, silence. We're moving out in 10 minutes. My team, 8 people, including my deputy, Tim Vallis. Good guys, experienced. We've all been together for years. The plan is simple. Climb up the north slope, reach the canyon by noon, search the coordinates of the last signal. If we're lucky, we'll be coming down with the students by evening. Routine operation. I've had dozens like this in 10 years of service. You know, my daughter, Emma, she's 7, asked me last night, "Dad, are you scared in the mountains?" I answered, "No, sweetheart, because I know what I'm doing." She said, "Then come back soon. My birthday's on Saturday. You promised to bake a cake." I promised, and I will. My wife Sarah worries, of course. She always worries. But I promised her I'll be home for dinner, and I'll keep that promise. So, beginning the operation, I'll maintain contact with base every hour. Everything's under control.
Jack, hi, it's me. It's 8 o'clock now. You're probably already in the mountains. The signal's bad. Listen, I'm worried. Emma didn't sleep all night. She had nightmares. She was crying, screaming in her sleep. Daddy won't come back. I calmed her down, told her Daddy's strong, that he always comes back. But she didn't calm down. Said she feels something will happen to you. I know you'll say it's childhood fears, but Jack, I feel it too. Some bad premonition since this morning. Like something's wrong. I turned on the news half an hour ago. They're talking about some strange fog over the Pacific Ocean. Meteorologists are in shock. They've never seen anything like it. Fog 3 kilometers high, moving east at 200 kilometers per hour? That's impossible for fog, right? An hour ago, they lost contact with San Francisco. Just lost it, as if the city disappeared. The last report was about panic in the streets, people running, screaming something about fog, about danger, and then the connection was cut. Jack, maybe you'll come back? I know it's silly, you're on an operation. Students are waiting for help. But I have this feeling, like if you don't come back now, you'll never come back at all. Emma's sitting next to me, holding your photo. Says, "Tell Daddy I love him very, very much." I love you too. Be careful, please. Call when you can.
Base, this is Coleman Team. Time 11:30. We're at 3,000 meters elevation. Covered 8 kilometers in 5 hours. About 2 hours walk to the students' presumed location. Weather was ideal, but... Damn. Martha, do you see this on satellite? To the west, something huge. A wall. Literally a wall of gray fog. Sharp boundary, straight as a ruler. Height, my God, height, up to the clouds. 2 kilometers, maybe 3, and it's moving. I've been watching it for 10 minutes. It's approaching at a speed of, 200 kilometers? More?
This is impossible. Fog doesn't move that fast. This contradicts all laws of meteorology. Martha on the radio just reported, Lord, fog covered California, the whole state. Lost contact with Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento. Last reports were about violence. People attacking each other in the streets, biting, tearing each other's throats out. Martha says 911 received 2 million calls in the last hour. 2 million, all reporting the same thing. Fog, cold, madness. The team's panicking. Tim demands we turn around immediately and descend. Says this is the end of the world, that we need to get back to the city, to our families. The others support him, every single one. But the students have been there for 3 days, in this fog. If we turn around, they'll die. They have no chance without us. The wall is a couple hours from us, maybe less. I'm making the decision, we continue. The students aren't to blame for some catastrophe starting. They're waiting for us. We took an oath. We're rescuers. We don't abandon people. Now, we're entering the fog. God have mercy. It got dark, instantly, like someone turned off the sun. Temperature dropped to -8 Celsius. It was +18. Visibility 1 meter, maybe 2. Turned on flashlights, the light barely penetrates this gloom. In the fog sounds, whispers, like thousands of voices whispering at once, and grinding metal on stone, and breathing. It's foul, very close, right nearby. GPS works. Compass went crazy. The needle spins like a propeller. We're holding on to ropes. 8 people tied with 1 rope. No one must fall behind. No one. Continuing movement. An hour and a half to the students. We'll make it. We must make it.
Jack, if you hear this, Denver is falling. The city's in hell. The fog came 15 minutes ago. I was cooking lunch in the kitchen. Emma was drawing in the living room. I saw a gray wall through the window. Thought a storm, but it was fog. It covered the city in a second. 1 second, and the whole city disappeared in gray. It got dark like night. The temperature dropped. I see my breath in the apartment. The windows are covered with frost. I heard screams from the hallway. Went out to look. Mr. Jenkins from the apartment across. Jack, he was standing, facing the wall. Just standing, motionless. 5 minutes. Then he started banging his head against the wall, again and again and again. I saw blood flowing down the wall, the skull cracking. He fell. I thought dead, but he got up. Turned to me. The eyes, Jack, the eyes were white. Completely white, like a blind person. Mouth bloody. He growled. Didn't scream, growled like an animal and lunged at me. I slammed the door, locked all the locks. He's beating on the door, scratching, gnawing at the wood. I hear his teeth cracking against the door. Throughout the building, screams, hundreds of people screaming at once. Crash, sounds of fighting, glass breaking, someone's howling, someone's eating someone. I hear chewing, crunching bones from the apartment below. Emma. Emma's in the corner of the living room. She's crying, covering her ears with her hands, screaming, "Where's Daddy, Mom? Where's Daddy?" Jack, you have to come back. Now, immediately. Your daughter is calling you. Your wife is dying here. And where are you? Where the fuck are you? What are you doing in your mountains when your family is in mortal danger? What students? Why the hell aren't you here? I hate your duty. I hate your oath. I hate that you chose them instead of us. The door's cracking. The lock won't hold. They'll get in. Soon, they'll get in. Jack, come back.
Base, this is Coleman. We've stopped. Same coordinates as 10 minutes ago. We're not moving. The team heard Sarah's transmission. All of them. 8 people heard my wife screaming on the air. Heard my daughter crying in the background. Tim grabbed me by the chest. Screams in my face that I'm crazy, that I abandoned my family, that what the hell are we doing in the mountains when the city's burning, when my wife and daughter are dying? All the other rescuers support him, demand we turn around immediately, go back to Denver, save families, save people we know, not some stranger's students. I'm standing here, in the fog, in the cold, can't see anything beyond a meter. Hear these sounds around, whispers, grinding, breathing, and I can't make a decision. 2 voices in my head, 2 voices roaring at once. One says, "Go back. Emma, your daughter, your blood, your life. Sarah, your wife. The woman you've loved for 15 years, they're calling you. And you're here in the mountains, crawling to someone else's kids." The second says, "The students have mothers too, have fathers too. They feel the same panic Sarah feels now. If you don't save them, who will? You took an oath. You're a rescuer." I can't choose. God, help me. How do I choose between family and duty? Tim yells that if I don't turn back, he's going himself, with those who want to. Everyone supports him. I made a decision, the hardest decision of my life. I go on alone. Tim with the others leaves back, returns to Denver. Address, Maple Street, House 47, Apartment 3B. Keys under the mat. Save Sarah. Save Emma. That's an order. I'm staying, continuing to the students. Tim's crying. Says he doesn't understand me, that I'm choosing strangers' kids instead of my own. But he promises to get to my family, swears on his life. We hugged for the last time. 15 years of friendship, 15 years serving together, and here we are, going our separate ways in this gray hell. Tim leaves with the team back to base. I see their silhouettes dissolve in the fog. In 3 seconds, they're already gone. I remained. An hour to the students. I'm going. Sarah, Emma, forgive me. I chose to save others. I must justify this choice. I must save them. Otherwise I lost you for nothing. This is my duty. Forgive me, Emma. Forgive me that Daddy won't be at your birthday. Continuing movement.
Base, this is Tim Vallis. Time... damn, I don't know. Watch has stopped. We've been in the fog for 2 hours, descending to base camp. There are 7 of us, me and 6 people from Jack's team. GPS shows we've covered 4 kilometers, should already be close to the fog boundary. But visibility's still the same, a meter, maybe 2. Cold, -10. We're tied with ropes, staying together. 10 minutes ago we met people. At first I was happy. I hear voices ahead, human voices. I shout, "Hey, we're rescuers, you're alive." I go toward the voices, team behind me. And then I saw them. A group of about 10 people, men, women, a couple teenagers, dressed normally, jeans, jackets, sneakers, regular people, tourists probably, or residents of nearby towns, but they were standing strangely, motionless, all looking at one point, at us, just staring, not blinking, not speaking. I approach closer, shine a flashlight at their faces, and I see eyes, white, completely white, as if the pupils disappeared and the whites flooded the entire eyeball. But they saw us. I felt their gaze. Mouths were bloody, fresh, dripping from chins. On clothes, too, stains, streaks. I say to them, concerned, "Do you need help? Are you injured?" And they don't answer, just stare, bug-eyed, like they're not alive. And then one of them, a man about 40 in a plaid shirt, opened his mouth, opened it so wide the jaw dropped to his chest at a right angle, inhumanly wide. And he screamed, not words, just a scream, high-pitched, piercing, animalistic. And all 10 rushed at us. My God. They moved like animals, on all fours, fast, jumped like monkeys, clawed at the ground with their hands, growled. A woman jumped on Marco. He's 35 years old, weighs close to 100 kilograms, and knocked him down like a child, bit into his throat with his teeth. I heard him squeal with pain and fear, and then just chewing. A teenager, about 15, attacked Rita. She's a fighter, trained for years, but he was stronger. Threw her against a rock, head first. I heard a dry crack, like a ripe watermelon falling out of someone's hands. She didn't get up, just convulsed. I pulled out my gun. I have a standard 9mm. I shoot the man in the plaid shirt, hit him in the chest. He doesn't stop, keeps running at me. I shoot again, in the stomach. He stumbles, but doesn't fall. Third shot, in the head. Only then did he fall. The team shooting back. Kyle killed 2, Hank 1. Sounds of gunshots, screams, growling, everything, mixed into one nightmare. A minute later, they retreated. 3 killed, the rest dissolved into the fog. We lost 3, Marco, Rita, Jenny. Marco was still breathing, but nothing left of his throat. He died 30 seconds later in my arms. There are 4 of us left, and I understood. These weren't monsters from the fog. These were people. Regular people. Tourists. Maybe families with kids. But the fog made them this. Turned them into predators. They lost their minds, keeping their bodies. Jack, if you hear, don't breathe the fog. Cover your face with cloth. Something. The fog isn't just cold. It infects. Turns people into animals. We're continuing descent, but I don't know. I don't know if we'll make it to base. There could be more ahead. Hundreds, thousands. Lord help us.
Jack, I don't know if this recording will reach you. Probably not. Probably I'll die here. But I have to tell. So someone knows what I became. Emma and I ran from the apartment. I killed our neighbor, Mr. Jenkins, with a knife. Through the eye into the brain. I had to. He burst in, attacked. I was protecting my daughter. Emma saw. She saw how mommy kills a person. She was crying, screaming, covering her ears. But I couldn't stop. I hit him until he stopped moving. We ran into the hallway. The whole building in chaos. Screams, crash, smell of blood. On the stairs lay corpses. Our neighbors. People I greeted for 10 years. We ran downstairs. Emma held my hand so tight she left bruises. On the third floor, I heard a voice. Female, familiar. Mary, our neighbor from apartment 208. We were friends, drink coffee together on Saturdays. Our kids played together. She has 2 girls, Sophie, 5 years old, and Lily, 7 years old. Mary was lying by the wall. Her stomach. God, I can't talk about it. Blood everywhere. She was still alive, breathing, looking at me. The children nearby, Sophie and Lily, hugging their mother, crying, faces bloody. Don't know if it was theirs or someone else's. Mary reached out her hand, rasped, "Sarah, help, take the girls, I'm dying. Take them, please." I stopped, looked at the children, at Emma, at Mary, and understood I can't take 3. Emma, 7 years old, weighs 20 kilograms. Sophie, 5 years old. Lily, 7 years old. I physically can't carry 3 children, especially down the stairs in the dark, running from this.
Mary looked at me, eyes full of hope, tears, pleading, whispered, at least one. Take the youngest, Sophie, please. Sophie looked at me, a 5-year-old child, blonde hair, green eyes, reached out her hands. Auntie Sarah, I'm scared. Emma pulled my hand. Mom, let's go. Mom, I'm scared. It's scary here. I stood. 10 seconds. 20. Mary begged. Sophie cried. Lily hugged her sister. And I said, I'm sorry. One word, I'm sorry. And ran. Grabbed Emma's hands and ran down the stairs. Behind me, I heard Mary scream. Not words, just a scream. Desperate, hopeless. Then heard other sounds. Growling, tramping, children's screams, high-pitched, piercing, cutting off. Then silence. Emma asked as we ran, Mom, why didn't we take Sophie and Lily? They're my friends. I didn't answer. Couldn't. What to say? That I chose my daughter instead of someone else's? That I decide who deserves to live and who doesn't? We went down to the building's basement. It's dark here. Cold. Smells of mold. But quiet. Still quiet. Emma's sitting in the corner, hugging her knees, staring into emptiness. Not crying, just staring. I killed a person today. With a knife. With my own hands. Abandoned a dying friend and her children. Left them to be torn apart. Jack, you chose duty instead of family. And I chose my family, my daughter, sacrificed someone else's children for her. We're monsters, Jack. You and I. We do monstrous things and call it love, duty, necessity, but we're just monsters. Emma's sleeping. Finally fell asleep. I'm looking at her, my girl, my life. I'll kill for her again. Abandon others, do everything because I'm a mother, and that makes me scarier than any monster in the fog.
My name is Emily Hart. I'm 21 years old, and I don't know if I'm human anymore. There are 3 of us left in the cave. Me, Brad, and Lisa. Tom and Jenny, they're dead. Mike's dead too. Food ran out 3 days ago. Water, 2 days ago. We drink condensate from the cave walls. Lick The stones. Cold. So cold I can't feel my toes. Lisa's coughing blood. Pneumonia. Probably. An hour ago, Brad said... God. He said what I was thinking, but was afraid to say out loud. He said, "We have meat." I didn't understand at first. Asked, "What meat?" He nodded to the far corner of the cave. There lie parts of Mike. What the creatures left 3 days ago. 3 days they've been lying there. I tried not to look, pretended they weren't there, but they're there. My friend's leg, a person I knew for 2 years, who asked me out a week ago. Brad said, "He's dead anyway. He doesn't care anymore. And we're alive. We need energy to survive until rescuers come." Lisa screamed, said it's disgusting, insane, immoral, that we're not animals. Brad calmly replied, "We already are animals, just haven't admitted it yet." Lisa threw herself at him, started hitting, scratching his face, screamed, "We won't eat this. We won't." Brad pushed her away hard. She fell, hit her head on a rock, got up, in her hand, a rock, a sharp piece of stone the size of a fist. She looked at Brad, he looked at her, and I understood what would happen now. Understood and didn't stop it. Lisa hit him with the rock on the head. Once. Twice. 3 times. The head cracked. Sound like crushing an eggshell. Brad fell. Blood flowed from his ears, mouth, nose. He twitched for a minute, then went still. Lisa stood over him, holding the bloody rock, breathing heavily. Turned to me. On her face, nothing. No emotions. Empty eyes. Said, "Now there's enough meat for both of us." I said nothing, just nodded. Because she's right. Because we're no longer people. We're survivors. Animals in human bodies. Lisa's sleeping now. Or pretending to sleep. I'm sitting at the cave entrance, looking into the fog. In the fog, there are silhouettes. They walk back and forth, waiting. Behind me, 3 bodies. Mike, Tom, Brad. My friends, my classmates, my food supply. I haven't eaten yet. But I'm hungry. So hungry. My head's spinning that I smell blood and my mouth waters. Soon I'll eat a piece. A small one, so I don't die. And then I'll become like Lisa. Like Brad. Stop being Emily Hart. Biology student. Become just a creature that eats its dead friends to live another day. If someone finds this recording, no. The monsters aren't only in the fog. The monsters are us. Always were. Civilization just masked it. And when civilization collapsed, only truth remained. We're beasts. We're killers.
Base, this is Coleman. If anyone hears, record this. Important. I've been walking alone for 4 hours.
Covered by GPS 6 kilometers. About 2 kilometers to the student's presumed location. Maybe less. The fog doesn't dissipate. Visibility still the same. 1 meter to 1.5 meters. Cold. -12. I'm using signal flares for light. Launching every 10 minutes. Red light for 30 seconds. 20 minutes ago, I met what looked like people, walking on a narrow path, slope on the right, cliff on the left. Suddenly, I hear a voice, female, screams, "Help! Please help!" I go toward the voice. I see a family, 4 of them, mother, father, 2 kids, a boy about 10 and a girl about 7, sitting on rocks, hugging, clothes dirty, torn, faces scratched. The woman sees me and screams, "Oh God, a rescuer! Save us, please, we're lost!" I approach closer, say, "Calm down, I'll get you out. Are you injured?" The woman shakes her head, No, we're fine, just hungry and frozen." I take out my water flask, hand it to the man. He takes it, thanks me, drinks, passes it to the kids. And then I notice his hands. Hands are strange, nails too long, dirty. Under the nails, something dark, dried blood. I look at his face, eyes. Eyes are cloudy, like some kind of film, pupils dilated, gaze deranged. The woman smiles at me, but the smile's wrong, too wide, lips cracked, teeth with red stains. The children are silent, just staring, not blinking. I start backing away, slowly. Say, "You know what? Let's all go together. I'll get you out." And then the man stands up, fast, sharp, too fast for an exhausted person, asks, "Do you have food?" I answer, "A little, energy bars in my backpack." He nods slowly, says, "Good, we're hungry, very hungry," and lunges at me. My God, the speed, the strength, like an animal's. He slams into me, knocks me down. I fall on my back, head hits a rock, stars in my eyes. He's over me, grabs my throat, squeezes, face a centimeter from mine, breath from his mouth, rotten meat, growls, literally growls. I hit him in the jaw, break his nose. He doesn't react, keeps strangling. The woman crawls up from the side, bites my arm. Teeth pierce the jacket, skin, sharp pain. The kids coming from the other side, slowly, arms outstretched, nails like claws. I understand I'm about to die. 4 will tear me apart. With my left hand, I feel in my pocket for the signal pistol. Pull it out, stick it in the man's stomach. Fire. Red flash, bright, hot, sparks, smoke. The man howls, lets go of my throat, rolls away, clutches his stomach. Jacket smoldering. The woman hisses, crawls back. Kids retreat. I stand up, stumble, launch another flare into the air. Red flame lights up everything around me. And I see them in this light. Faces distorted, mouths open, jaws dropped inhumanly wide, eyes insane, hands bloody to the elbows. These are not people, not anymore. Shells, beasts in human bodies. I run, just run, doesn't matter where, away from them. I hear growling and tramping behind me. Run for about 3 minutes, then stop, look around. No one. Lost in the fog. My arm hurts, bites deep. I wrap it with a bandage, hope it doesn't get infected. Throat hurts, bruises from fingers. Hard to breathe, but I'm alive. Base, if anyone hears, the fog makes people go mad, turns them into predators. They lose their minds, become dangerous. Don't trust anyone, even if they look normal.
check the eyes. If cloudy, run. I'm continuing toward the students. 1 kilometer to them, maybe less. Hope they're still alive. Hope they're still inhuman. Continuing movement.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. This is Pastor Isaiah Crane. I'm broadcasting from the former St. Francis Middle School on the outskirts of Denver. 80 souls have gathered here, 80 righteous ones seeking salvation in these dark times. You're listening to me. Those hiding in basements, running through the streets, trembling with fear. And I want to tell you one thing. Fear not the fog. Fear sin. The fog is not a catastrophe. This is God's revelation, the gray tide, as I call it. The Lord is tired of tolerating human sins, lies, adultery, murder, greed, pride, and He sent purification, the great purification. Those who are pure in spirit will survive. Those who are sinful will die in agony. I know this because God speaks to me every night, whispers in my ears, shows me visions. He showed me the future, the world after the fog. A new world, clean, righteous, where only the chosen remain. And I am His instrument. I am the judge. I separate the wheat from the chaff. Now beside me stand seven sinners. I interrogated them. They confessed. Here's Marcus Holloway, 45 years old, accountant. 2 years ago, stole money from his company, $200,000. Thought no one would know. But God knows everything. Here's Jennifer Riley, 23 years old, student. Cheated on her husband twice with different men. Covered it with lies. Here's Thomas Griffin, 60 years old, retiree. Beat his wife for 20 years. Broke ribs, jaw. She was silent from fear. Here's Sandra Morris, 38 years old, doctor. Performed abortions, 17 abortions in her career, 17 lives destroyed by her hands. Here's enough. You understand. These 7 stand at the entrance to the school. Behind the door is fog, gray, cold, hungry. I asked each one, do you repent your sins? Some said yes. Some cried, begged for forgiveness. One, Marcus, said, I stole to save my daughter. She had cancer. Treatment cost money. I answered, sin remains sin, even if the reason is noble. Jennifer screamed, I love my husband. It was a mistake. I said, mistakes have consequences. Thomas was silent, just looked at the floor, knew he deserved this. Sandra said, I saved women, helped them. I answered, you killed children, unborn, innocent. Now they stand in a line, hands tied, legs too, won't run. Behind me, 73 righteous ones. They're praying, thanking God it's not them, that their sins are lesser, that they're pure. I open the door. Fog rushes inside. I say to the 7, "Go, accept punishment. God will judge you beyond the boundary of life." Marcus cries, "Please, I have a daughter. She's waiting." I push him into the fog. He stumbles, disappears in the gray. 3 seconds later, I hear a scream, long, desperate, then a crunch. Silence. Jennifer breaks free, runs back into the school. 2 of my helpers catch her, drag her to the door. She scratches, bites, howls. They throw her into the fog. Scream. Silence. The rest go obediently. Understand, resistance is useless. One after another, 7 sinners into the fog. 7 screams, 7 deaths. I close the door, turn to the righteous. They look at me reverently, with adoration, with fear. I say to them, "This is what awaits sinners, agonizing death. But you are pure. You are chosen. You will be saved." They fall to their knees, give thanks, cry with relief, and I look at them and smile. Because tomorrow I'll find sins in 7 of them, and they too will go into the fog, and the day after, and in a week, until only I remain, the only pure one, the only righteous one. God doesn't speak to me, never spoke, but fear speaks. Fear controls these people better than any god, and I am the priest of this fear. Join me, brothers and sisters. Come to St. Francis School. I will save you or feed you to the fog. The choice is yours.
We came out of the fog 20 minutes ago. There are 4 of us left. Lost 3 on the descent. Marco, Rita, Jenny. The fog boundary is sharp. A straight line. Behind it, sun. Clear sky, plus 15. Inside, darkness. Cold. Death. Jack's on the other side. Trapped. We reached Denver's outskirts. City, 15 kilometers from the fog boundary. Jack, if you hear me, I'm sorry. I couldn't get to your family. Denver is no more. I'm standing on a hill. I see the city. All of it. Streets littered with bodies. Hundreds. Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. Lying like trash. On sidewalks, on roads, in cars. Some dismembered. Arms, legs, heads scattered separately. Like they were torn apart with bare hands. Some burned. Fire swept through blocks. Smoke still rising from buildings. Cars overturned. Poles broken. Shop windows smashed. The city looks like a war zone, but there was no war. There was panic, madness. And I see movement. Figures wander the streets. Hundreds of figures move slowly, aimlessly, bump into walls, cars, each other. These are people. We're people. Now, I don't know what this is. Some on all fours, some on two legs but hunched over, some crawling. All with white eyes, all bloody. They don't unite, don't hunt organized, just wander. Like zombies from movies. Dead inside, alive outside. Sometimes two collide, start fighting, tear each other's throats, eat each other. The city turned into a slaughterhouse, into hell. Jack, your family lived on Maple Street, house 47. I look through binoculars, find the street, find the house. The building's burning, third floor completely destroyed, windows blown out, walls blackened, near the entrance like corpses. Many, 20, maybe more. Pile of bodies. Can't make out faces. Too far. Too much blood. Don't know where your wife is. Where Emma is. If they're alive. If they're dead. If they turned into this. I'm sorry, Jack. I promised to save them. Swore on my life. But I was too late. The city fell before I got there. I failed the mission. Failed you. Failed your family. Now you're alone. In the fog. Alone against all this nightmare. And I'm here. In the sun. Safe. Alive. And I'm ashamed. Ashamed that I'm alive and they're possibly dead. I won't go into the city. Can't. There are thousands of maddened people there. 4 of us won't survive. I'll wait here. Maybe other survivors will show up. Maybe the army will come. The government. Someone. Or maybe no one will come. And we're the last ones. Jack, find the students. Save them. Save at least someone. Because I didn't save anyone. Forgive me.
Base, Tim, anyone. I found them. Found the students. The coordinates were right. I reached the cave an hour ago. GPS led exactly to the spot. Entrance narrow, hidden behind rocks. Inside, dark, cold. Smells of death. I went in, shone my flashlight, and saw bodies. 3 bodies, laid along the wall, in different stages of decomposition. 1, just bones and clothing rags. 2nd, mummified, gray. 3rd, fresh. A day, maybe 2. I recognized them by student IDs in their pockets. Mike Thornton, Tom Chen, Brad Miller. Of the 6 students, 3 dead. In the far part of the cave, I heard voices, female, weak. I approached, saw them, 2 of them, Emily Hart and Lisa Rodriguez, alive, barely alive. Emily was sitting, leaning against the wall, emaciated, skin and bones, hair tangled, dirty, face bruised, but eyes alive. She looked at me and whispered, "A rescuer. You came." I said, "Yes, I'll save you. Promise." Lisa was lying nearby, and I saw immediately. Leg, left leg, below the knee, bent at the wrong angle, broken, bone sticking through skin, infection, severe, face feverish, skin gray, breathing raspy, heavy, pneumonia probably, or blood poisoning. I approached, checked pulse, weak, irregular, temperature under 40. Asked, "How long has the leg been broken?" Emily answered, 4 days. She stumbled in the dark, fell. We heard a crack. I looked at the wound. Open fracture. Without surgery and antibiotics, she'll die. Maybe in a day, maybe in a few hours. And I understood. I can carry only one. The cave is 1.5 kilometers from the fog boundary. Fog all around. Creatures in the fog. Path dangerous, narrow. I'm alone. Can't carry two. Physically can't. Need to choose. Who to take. Who to leave.
Emily, 21 years old. Healthy, except for exhaustion. Survival chances high. If I carry her to the boundary, I'll save her. Lisa, 22 years old. Broken, infected, feverish. Survival chances almost zero. Even if I carry her, she might die on the way. Logic, simple, cold, mathematical. Take the one with better chances. But Lisa looked at me, eyes clouded from fever but understanding. She knew, saw it in my face, whispered, "You'll choose her, won't you? Because I'm dying." I didn't answer, couldn't. She continued, "Please, don't leave me here to die alone in the dark. I'm afraid of the dark, been afraid all my life. Please, take me. I'll try not to be heavy. I won't scream. I'll be quiet. Just don't leave." Emily looked at me silently, waited for the decision. God forgive me. I made a choice. Took out a knife from my backpack, flask with water, 2 energy bars, put them next to Lisa. Said, "I'm sorry. I can't take both. Emily's healthier. She has better chances." Lisa screamed, not loud, no strength, but desperately. "No, no, please, don't leave. I don't want to die alone. Don't want." Tried to stand up. Her leg buckled. She fell, howled with pain. I took Emily's hand, helped her stand. She could barely stand, from weakness, from hunger. Held her, led her to the exit. Lisa crawled after us, clawed at the rocks with her nails, dragged herself, sobbed, "Don't go, please, take me. I'll be good, I promise." We reached the exit. I looked back one last time. Lisa lay on the cave floor, reaching her hand toward us, face twisted with despair. Whispered, "Tell my mom that I love her." I nodded. Couldn't speak. Left the cave with Emily. Last thing I heard was Lisa's sobs, then screams, "Don't leave me! Come back!" Then silence. We walked For about 10 minutes, Emily was silent, then whispered, "You left her to die, alone, in the dark." I said, "I saved you." She replied, "But not her." I couldn't find what to say, because she's right. I left a girl to die alone, a girl who asked for only one thing, not to be left alone. I chose who to save, like God, like a judge, decided who deserves life. And now, Lisa Rodriguez, 22 years old, biology student, is dying in a dark cave, alone, with a knife and 2 bars. I took the rescuer's oath, save lives, all lives, but I saved one, killed another with my choice. Jack Coleman, rescuer, killer. Going to the boundary, 1 kilometer to exit, maybe less. Emily's with me, alive. Lisa behind us, dead or dying. I saved who I could. God, forgive me.
My name is Emily Hart. I ate human flesh, the flesh of my friends. The rescuer carrying me now, Jack, he doesn't know. Thinks I'm just a survivor. Hungry, exhausted, but clean. He doesn't know I'm a cannibal. 5 days in the cave, I observed the creatures. I had no choice. They were everywhere around. In the fog, I watched, studied, tried to understand. They don't eat the dead, only the living. When they took Mike, I heard his screams. 10 minutes. He was alive all that time. They ate him alive. When they took Tom, same thing. Screams, pleas, crunching bones. They don't attack those who don't move. I tested it. Went out of the cave, lay on the ground, closed my eyes. Lay for 5 minutes. Heard them walking around, breathing, sniffing, but didn't touch me. Walked past. They react to movement, to fear. Brad panicked before death, screamed, ran, waved his arms. They pounced instantly, tore him apart in seconds. Lisa quietly cried, didn't move. They went around her. I understood. They sense adrenaline in blood, like sharks sense blood in water. The more fear, the more attractive the victim. So I learned not to be afraid. Turn off emotions, become empty. And one more thing, most important. Those who ate human flesh smell different. Lisa ate Brad 3 days ago. After she killed him, I saw creatures approach the cave, look inside, sniff the air, and leave. Hiss, back away, as if they sensed something disgusting. I understood then. Cannibals, for them, taboo, disgusting, toxic. We became like them, predators, eaters of our own, and that makes us unfit, spoiled. I ate a piece of Brad 4 days ago, small, size of a finger, raw. I ate to not die of hunger, to survive until rescue. But after that, creatures stopped approaching the cave, avoided it, as if they smelled my new scent, the scent of a cannibal. Now Jack's carrying me, thinks he's saving an innocent student, doesn't know he's carrying a monster, same as those in the fog. I ate a friend, chewed his flesh, swallowed, digested. And you know what? There was no disgust, no vomiting. There was relief. Finally, not hungry. Brain justified, he's dead, you're alive, you must survive. But the soul, Soul knows the truth. I'm not human anymore. I'm a creature, a beast in human skin. Jack saved me from the cave, but can't save me from what I became. Ahead, the fog boundary, Jack says in half a kilometer we'll come out to the light, to people, to civilization. But how can I return to people? I'm not one of them anymore. I ate a human. I'm a cannibal. They'll arrest me, put me away, judge me, call me a monster, and they'll be right. Maybe I should stay here, in the fog, with those like me. Maybe that's my place now, among predators, among those who lost their humanity. I don't know. I only know one thing. Emily Hart died in that cave, with Mike, Tom, Brad. What's walking next to Jack now? That's not her. That's something else. Something that smells of death and forbidden flesh. Something even monsters shy away from.
Base, this is Tim Vallis. I have important information. Critically important. I'm at the fog boundary, standing 100 meters from the gray wall. With me is Dr. Liam Chen, meteorologist from Denver University. He survived. Came out of the city with equipment, samples. Last 3 days he's been studying the fog from a scientific point of view. And what he told me, Lord, this changes everything. Chen says this is not water vapor, not vapor at all. He took air samples from the fog, put them under a microscope, saw spores, billions of spores, microscopic, size of a bacterium, gray-green color, shape irregular, asymmetric, with spikes on the surface. They hang in the air, don't settle, hold for hours, form suspension, aerosol. That's why the fog is so thick, impenetrable. Chen studied the spores, chemical analysis. They're organic, living, but the structure unlike anything known. Not plant, not fungus, not bacterium. Something completely new or very old. When spores get into lungs, they penetrate through alveoli into blood. Blood flow carries them to brain. There they attach to neurons, to brain cells. Attack the prefrontal cortex, this part of brain responsible for self-control, morality, decision-making, what makes us human. Spores destroy this part, methodically, in 6 to 12 hours of continuous breathing. Person loses self-control, loses morality, becomes animal, predator, driven by instincts, hunger, aggression, fear. That's why people in cities went mad so quickly. Breathed spores for hours. Prefrontal cortex shut down. Only reptilian brain left. Hunt, eat, kill, survive. Chen showed me photos, brain scans of infected. He did them on corpses. Prefrontal cortex, gray, dead, necrotic. Rest of brain works, but the part that makes us human, killed. I asked, is it reversible? Can it be cured? He paused, then said, no. Dead neurons don't regenerate. Who breathed fog 6+ hours? Lost forever. Millions of people, millions in cities covered by fog, all breathed for hours, days, all lost. Turned into animals, irreversibly. But here's the scariest thing, most terrifying. I asked, where did the spores come from? What is this? Natural phenomenon? Mutation? Evolution? Chen looked at me, long, then said, spores are too perfect, too efficient. They precisely attack exactly the brain part that makes us human. Leave the rest untouched. I didn't understand. And what does that mean? He answered, it means this isn't nature. Nature doesn't work like this, not so purposefully. Then what? Biological weapon, created to destroy humanity while preserving bodies. Perfect weapon for enslavement. I asked,
Who created it? Terrorists? Some country? He shook his head. Spores appeared from nowhere, from the ocean. Just appeared and started spreading as if someone released them on purpose. Who? Don't know. Maybe some government. Maybe a corporation. Maybe... He didn't finish, but I saw fear in his eyes. Fear of a thought he dared not voice. What if this isn't human weapon? What if someone else created the spores? Someone not from here? Base, I don't know what to believe, but the facts are these. Fog is spores, living organisms. They turn people into animals, irreversibly, and someone or something released them on purpose. Jack somewhere there, in the fog, breathing spores for 8 hours already. If Chen's right, Jack's not Jack anymore. God help us all.
Jack, if you ever hear this, I want to explain. Want you to understand. Emma and I wandered the city for 2 days, hid in basements, on roofs, saw horrors, death, madness. I killed 3 in those days. 3 maddened people. With a knife, with my hands, with a rock. Emma saw everything. Stopped crying. Just stares with empty eyes. This morning, we met people. The group of 15. Normal. With clear eyes. Calm. They surrounded us, but didn't attack. The leader, a woman about 40, in clean clothes, said, "Don't be afraid. We're friends. Come with us. We have a shelter." I hesitated, but Emma looked at them with hope. First time in 2 days. We went with them. They brought us to a school, St. Francis Middle School. Building intact, windows boarded up, doors reinforced. Inside 100 people, maybe more, sitting in classrooms, hallways, quiet, calm, organized. There's food, canned goods, water, rations. There are medicines. There's order. We were led to the auditorium. There on stage stood a man, tall, thin, about 45, long gray hair, beard, dressed in black. Eyes bright, hypnotic. He introduced himself. "I am Pastor Isaiah Crane. Welcome to our ark." Started speaking. Voice deep, melodic, mesmerizing. Spoke about fog, about how it's God's punishment, retribution for humanity's sins, purification. Spoke about how we gathered here are the chosen, those God decided to save. If we follow rules, pray, repent, we'll survive. He spoke for an hour. I listened and felt relief. Someone took responsibility. Someone knows what to do. Someone's in charge. 2 days, I made decisions. Kill or not kill. Run or hide. Save others. Or just myself with Emma. 2 days I was alone, with a child, in hell. And here I can just obey. Do what they say, not think, not choose. After the sermon, Pastor approached me, put his hand on Emma's head, gently, tenderly, said, "Your daughter is beautiful. God will take care of her, of both of you, if you're obedient." Emma looked at me, asked in a whisper, "Mom, is this uncle good?" I didn't know what to answer because I felt something wrong in his eyes, in the smile, in the touch on Emma's head. But I'm so tired, so damned tired of being strong, making decisions, choosing who dies, who lives. Here I can rest. Here it's safe, warm. There's food. We were given a room, a small classroom on second floor. 2 mattresses, blankets, water, canned food. Emma ate her fill for the first time in 3 days. Lay down to sleep and fell asleep instantly. I'm sitting by the window, looking at gray fog outside the glass. Hear prayers in the hallway, hundreds of voices singing hymns, monotonously, endlessly. Pastor passes by the door, looks in, smiles, says, "Rest. Tomorrow your service to God begins." Closes the door. I hear the lock click outside. We're locked in. Jack, I don't know. Don't know if this is salvation or a trap. But Emma sleeps peacefully, first time in days. Doesn't cry. Doesn't scream from nightmares. And I'm ready to pay any price for this peace. Even if the price is my soul. Forgive me.
Brothers and sisters, this is Pastor Isaiah Crane, evening service. Today, new souls joined us, Sarah and little Emma. Exhausted, lost, but now saved. Our community grows. 123 souls under the school roof. 123 chosen by God. But resources are limited. Food, water, medicines, enough for 2 weeks, maximum 3. Therefore, God demands sacrifices. Tonight, I announce the names of 10 unworthy. Those who consume resources but give no contribution. Those who burden us. Listen carefully. First, William Gray, 75 years old, retiree, blind in one eye, deaf in both ears, can't work, can't defend, only eats. Second, Margaret Stone, 82 years old, wheelchair-bound, incontinence, requires constant care. 2 people care for her instead of being useful. Third, Daniel Lee, 31 years old, broke back in accident 3 days ago, paralyzed below waist, will never walk, will never be useful. Fourth, Susan Black, 44 years old, terminal cancer, 2 weeks to live maximum, taking painkillers that others need. Fifth, Thomas Riley, 16 years old, mentally disabled, can't follow orders, dangerous to himself and others. The other 5, sick, wounded, dying, burden to community. These 10 will go into the fog tonight, voluntarily accept God's will, free resources for the worthy. Now they stand here, on stage, behind me. Williams crying, 75 years old, fought in Korea, Vietnam, 2 medals for bravery. He shouts, "I served this country. I deserve to live. I'm a hero." I answer, hero of past, burden of present. You've earned a dignified death. Accept it. Margaret silent, 82 years old, understands the futility of pleading, just stares into emptiness, tears flowing down wrinkled cheeks. Daniel shouts, "Murderer! You're a murderer! You're all murderers!" Spits toward me, misses. Susan prays, whispers, "Our Father," over and over. Voice trembling, breaking, leading to the back exit, and beyond the back exit, fog. I say, go. God will meet you beyond life's boundary. Heaven awaits the righteous. 2 of my helpers, Brad and Calvin, start pushing the first one, William. He clings to the door frame, nails scrape on wood, leaves scratches, screams, "No, I don't want to, please." Brad hits his hands, fingers unclench. Calvin pushes his back. William flies into the fog, stumbles, falls, gets up, turns around, reaches hand to the door. "Help!" I hear footsteps in the fog, fast, many, approaching. William turns around, sees something, screams, not words, just scream of terror. Then crunch, wet, soft, crack of bones, scream cuts off. I close the door. The other 9 look at me, wide-eyed, in complete silence. I say, next. Margaret rolls out in her wheelchair herself, doesn't wait to be pushed, rolls to the door, dignity in every movement, whispers to me passing by, "See you in hell, Pastor." Rolls into the fog. 5 seconds later, I hear scream, short, then silence. 8 left. One after another. Push, throw, drive into the gray tide. Screams, pleas, curses, silence. In 10 minutes, all 10 in the fog, all 10 dead. I close the door, lock the bolt, turn to the community. 113 people look at me, silently. I see faces, fear, horror, gratitude it's not them. I see Sarah in the back row. She's holding Emma by the shoulders, covering her eyes with her palm, but Emma still saw, between fingers. I say, 10 souls sacrificed for 113. This is fair. This is God's will. I go to the storage room, open it, take out their rations, 10 portions of food, water, medicine, distribute to community. Everyone gets a bit more. Sarah gets double portion for herself and Emma. Emma looks at the canned can, whispers, "Mom, this is dead Grandpa's food." Sarah hesitates a second, two, then opens the can, hands Emma a spoon, says firmly, "Eat or you'll die." Emma takes the spoon, eats, cries while eating. I look at them, smile. Tomorrow I'll announce 10 more names, and the day after, and in a week, until only I remain, the only worthy one. God doesn't speak to me, never spoke, but fear speaks. Fear controls people better than any god, and I am the prophet of this fear. Amen.
Bass, Jack Coleman. I came out of the fog, standing in the light, safe. 8 hours I was there. 8 hours in gray hell. Found the students, or rather, what's left of them. Found 3 dead in the cave. Mike, Tom, Brad. 2 alive, Emily and Lisa. Had to leave Lisa. She was dying. Broken leg, infection, fever. Couldn't walk. I physically couldn't carry 2. Chose Emily. Left Lisa with knife, water, 2 bars. She cried when I left, begged not to leave her to die alone. I left. Heard her screams behind me until they fell silent. Carried Emily for 4 hours, through fog, through cold, to the boundary. We made it. I saw light, saw Tim on the other side, saw team, salvation 20 meters away. And then Emily got off my back, stopped, said she can't come out. I didn't understand at first. Boundary right there, light, warmth, people, 20 meters. But she explained, said she ate friends, Brad and Tom, ate their flesh to survive, and now can't return to people, because it will be known. They'll arrest her, put her away for cannibalism. Parents will find out. Everyone will find out she's a monster. I tried to convince her, said she's a survivor, not a monster, that she did what needed to survive, that it's not her fault. She didn't listen, said it is her fault, that she chose to eat friends instead of dying of hunger, and now crossed the line, became what she ran from. Took a step back, from boundary, from light, into fog. I reached out my hand, called her, ordered her to come back. She shook her head, said I have no power over her anymore, that she's not human, and I save people, remember? Turned around, walked back into the fog, slowly, 1 step, second, third. I rushed after her, grabbed her hand, tried to drag her to the boundary by force, screamed, I won't allow it, not after everything I went through. She broke free, pushed me. I fell on rocks, got up. She's already 10 meters away, fog swallowing her silhouette. I shouted her name, begged to come back, said I saved her, that she can't just throw this away. She turned around last time, said I saved her life, but can't save her soul. Asked to tell parents she loves them.
Silhouette dissolved in gray. Disappeared. I stood at the boundary. Looked into fog. Didn't see her anymore. Wanted to go back in. Find her. Drag her by force if needed. But Tim shouted from the other side. Called me to come out. Forbade returning. And I walked toward the light, away from her. Legs moved on their own. One step, second, third, crossed boundary, came out to the sun. Tim ran up, hugged me, said I came back, that I'm alive. Looked behind me, asked about students. I answered, found one, but lost her. He didn't understand, asked if she died. I said worse, she chose to stay. Tim was silent, didn't know what to say. Now I'm standing here, in light, in warmth, alive. Behind me, gray wall of fog. Somewhere there, Emily, Lisa, 3 dead students. I went 8 hours through hell, risked my life, fulfilled a rescuer's duty. Result? 5 dead. 1 survivor who ran back into nightmare. 0 saved. I abandoned wife and daughter for this. Lost my team. Went through fog. Left a girl to die alone. All this to save at least 1 life. And I saved no one. Tim asked me what now. Answered, going home. To family, if they're still alive. Turned my back to fog. Walked to camp. Behind me remained great wall. My dead. My failures. Jack Coleman, rescuer. 0 saved. 5 lost. Perfect statistics. Now I have to live with this until end of days. If end of days ever comes. If fog doesn't swallow everything. Going home to Sarah, to Emma. Hope they're alive. Hope they forgive me for the choice. Hope I forgive myself someday. But I know won't forgive. Never.
Base, Jack Coleman. 6 hours since coming out of fog. Tim and I in Denver, combing the city. Pictures nightmarish. Streets littered with corpses. Thousands. Decomposition started. There's a smell that makes you sick, even through respirator. The maddened wander everywhere, hundreds of them, on every street, in every building. White eyes, bloodied mouths. Sometimes 2 meet, start fighting to the death, tearing each other apart. We move carefully, quietly. They react to sound, to movement. As long as they don't see, don't hear, they don't attack. Found a group of survivors an hour ago. 8 people hiding in a supermarket basement. When they saw us, almost shot us. Thought we were maddened. I explained who we are. Rescuers. They calmed down. Told us what happened. Fog covered the city 3 days ago. In 6 hours, half the population went mad. In 12 hours, almost everyone. Who didn't turn, hid, or ran. I asked about organized survivor groups, shelters, camps. They said, there's one place, St. Francis School on the outskirts. Over 100 people gathered there. There's food, water, safety. Some pastor organized a community. I asked the pastor's name. They said Isaiah Crane. The name seemed familiar. Heard his sermons on the radio last few days. Something bothered me about his voice, but couldn't understand what. Asked, could my family be there? They said possibly. The pastor accepts all survivors. Address, Maple Street, not far from my house. If Sarah with Emma survived, they could have gone there. I told Tim, we're going there. He objected, reminded me about Crane's sermons on radio last few days. Said something's not right with this man, too fanatical, too cold under the mask of piety. Warned it could be a trap, a cult, something dangerous. But I didn't listen, couldn't listen, because if there is even one chance in 1,000 my family's there, I'm going. I abandoned them for the students. Chose duty instead of family. And what did I get? 0 saved. Lost everyone. Now I have a chance to fix this. Find Sarah, find Emma, take them out of there, take them to safety. Tim finally agreed. Said he'll go with me, cover me, but we'll be on guard. We moved toward the school an hour ago, going carefully, city full of maddened. Already hid 3 times while packs pass by. 1 kilometer to school, maybe less. Sarah, Emma, if you hear this, Daddy's coming. Husband's coming. This time I'll choose you. I swear, this time I won't let you down.
Jack, if you're alive, if you ever hear this, I understood. Too late, but understood. We've been at St. Francis School for a week. I thought this was salvation, shelter, place where Emma would be safe. I was wrong. In a week, Pastor Crane conducted 3 sacrifices. 30 people thrown into fog, alive. First was day after our arrival. 10 people, elderly and seriously ill. Pastor called it necessity. Resources limited. Weak, slow down strong. Then I agreed with the logic. I'm ashamed to admit, but I thought he's right. Better 10 die, so 100 survive. Second sacrifice was 3 days ago. 10 sinners. Those who stole, lied, cheated, hit. Pastor held court, announced sentences, led them one by one to the door into fog. I watched. Everyone watched. Heard screams. Thank God it wasn't us. Ate their rations after. Third was yesterday. 10 people again. But this time, category changed. Doubters. Those who asked questions. Who asked why so many sacrifices. Who suggested other solutions. Who looked at Pastor with distrust. Among them was Ruth, woman of 50, teacher. I befriended her in a week. She shared food with Emma, told bedtime stories. Yesterday, Pastor called her name, accused her of undermining faith, sowing doubt, blasphemy. Ruth tried to defend herself, said she just asked questions, didn't suggest anything bad. Pastor didn't listen, ordered her taken out. 2 helpers grabbed her by arms, dragged her to the door into fog. She fought, screamed, begged. No one intervened. Everyone sat silently, including me, afraid that if we intervene, we'll be next. They threw Ruth into fog. 5 seconds later, heard scream, then silence. That evening, Pastor distributed her things. I got her sweater. Warm, wool. I'm wearing it now.
a dead friend's sweater. And this morning, I understood that Pastor doesn't kill for survival, kills for control. Each sacrifice removes those who might threaten his power. First the weak, they can't resist. Then sinners, no one will protect them. Now doubters, they're dangerous to authority. Soon turned will come to everyone. Categories will change, expand. Not devoted enough, not praying enough, not useful enough. He'll kill everyone, one by one, until only he remains with a handful of fanatics. I started planning an escape, quietly, carefully. Found a window in basement, not boarded up. Collected some food in hiding spot, waiting for the right moment. But Emma changed. In a week. She's not my daughter now. She sings hymns with others, prays 3 times a day, calls Pastor Father Isaiah, repeats his words like learned lines. Last night she asked me, why don't I pray as fervently as others? Said Father Isaiah teaches doubters are dangerous. A 7-year-old child repeating cult rhetoric, processed in a week. If I tried to escape, she might tell. Not on purpose, just because she thinks it's right. I'm trapped with a daughter who became a stranger in a shelter that turned out to be a prison. Jack, I thought you abandoned us, chose duty instead of family, hated you for it. Now I understand. You did what you thought was right, like me. We both made mistakes trying to save others. If you're alive, if there's a chance, come for us. I can't do it alone. St. Francis School, Maple Street, Denver outskirts. Come soon, before we become the next victims, or before Emma completely loses herself. Please.
Brad, close the door. Good. Sit down. You know, I'm tired of this performance. All day playing pious, quoting Bible, praying, exhausting, but necessary. Sheep need a shepherd. They need something to believe in, and I give them that. Tonight, 10 more go into fog. Already chose who? List ready? Martha Simpson. Asks too many questions about food supplies. Robert Taylor looks at me with suspicion. Jennifer Clark tried to organize separate prayer group without my knowledge. Other 7, just to make it 10. Nice round number. 10 commandments, 10 plagues of Egypt. Symbolism matters. In a week, 10 more. In 2 more. By end of month, 40 people will remain. Weakest, most obedient, most frightened. Exactly the kind needed. Manageable. Not asking questions, doing what I say. And then I'll start removing them too. Slowly, 1 or 2 at a time, under different pretexts. Illness, breaking rules, insufficient faith. By spring, if we live to spring, I'll remain alone, with full warehouses of food, water, medicine, with weapons, with supplies for a year. I'll leave school, find another shelter further from city, maybe in the mountains, survive this catastrophe in comfort. And them? They thought they were being saved, thought they found shelter, didn't understand shelter is a barn, and I'm the farmer, and someday comes time to slaughter the herd. Brad, you ask why I'm telling you this? Why opening up? Because you're useful, still useful. You're my hands, my legs. Execute orders without questions. But no, when you stop being useful, you'll be on the list, like everyone else. No exceptions. Don't take offense. It's not personal, just pragmatism. In the new world, one survives. The strongest, the ruthless. I am strongest. There's no God, never was. These are fairy tales for weak, for those afraid of death, afraid of loneliness, afraid of responsibility. God is control, power, fear wrapped in prayers, and I am their God. While they believe I'm omnipotent, decide who lives, who dies, who eats, who starves, who's worthy, who's not. Intoxicating feeling, better than any drug, absolute power over life and death. Before, I was nobody. Street preacher people ignored, threw coins and hat out of pity, laughed behind my back. Now they pray to me, thank me for every crumb, kiss my hands, cry with gratitude when I show mercy. Apocalypse is best thing that happened in my life. Fog destroyed civilization, killed millions, turned the world into hell, and gave me paradise. A small kingdom where I'm king, judge, executioner, God. Won't give this up, never. Will hold on till the last, till last sacrifice. And then I'll leave, full, satisfied, alive, while they rot in the fog. Brad, bring a bottle of whiskey from my room. Let's celebrate to new world, to our success, to sheep who gladly go to slaughter. Amen.
Tim, if you hear, I have problems. They caught me. I snuck into school 20 minutes ago, through basement window. Quiet, careful. You stayed outside for cover, as agreed. Inside, 100 people, maybe more, sitting in classrooms, hallways, quiet, obedient, like zombies, only alive. Walk on schedule. Pray 3 times a day, eat at set time, speak in whispers. No one laughs, no one screams. Creepy place, not shelter, prison. I moved through hallways, looked in rooms, looking for Sarah and Emma. Checked 10 classrooms, 20, 30, and found them in small room on 2nd floor. They were sleeping. Sarah on one mattress, Emma on another. Both thin, dirty, but alive. Alive. I stood in doorway a minute, just watched. Couldn't believe. My family, they survived, despite everything. Approached quietly, touched Sarah's shoulder. She woke up, opened mouth to scream. I covered her mouth with my hand and whispered, "It's me, Jack, her husband." She stared, recognized, eyes widened, hugged me tight, trembled,
cried into my chest without sound. Emma woke up, saw me, whispered, "Daddy? Daddy came?" I nodded, hugged both. First time in a week, felt something besides guilt and despair. But joy lasted seconds. Sarah pulled away, face frightened, whispered quickly, "Need to leave immediately. This place dangerous. Pastor kills people, sacrifices every 2 days. We could be next." I nodded, said I know, that I came to take them, that we're leaving right now. Started packing, quietly. Sarah took a backpack with food, water. Emma pulled on jacket, and then door opened. A man entered, big, about 30. One of Pastor's helpers. I saw his portrait in photo at entrance. He saw me, stranger, in room with 2 community members. Understood something's wrong. I tried to calm him, raised hands, said, "I'm Sarah's husband, came for family, don't want trouble." He didn't listen, shouted, loud, called others. 10 seconds later, 4 burst into the room. Big men, Pastor's helpers, all armed, bats, knives, crowbars. I tried to fight, knocked one down with punch to draw, second to groin, but there's 4 of them, I'm one. They overpowered me, beat me till I stopped resisting, tied hands behind back, rope cut into wrists. Sarah screamed, begged to let go. They didn't listen. One of them pushed her onto mattress and ordered to be quiet. Emma cried, called for Daddy, reached out her hands. They lifted me, led me down hallway, brought me onto auditorium. There on stage stood him, Pastor Isaiah Crane, tall, thin, in black, long gray hair, beard, cold, bright eyes, looked at me, smiled, not warmly, predatorily, announced to the community that gathered in the hall, "Here's a new sinner, uninvited guest, came to destroy harmony, disrupt order. Sentence, sacrifice at evening service, in an hour." Crowd silent. No one objected, no one intervened, just watched, with empty eyes. They took me to the basement, locked me in a storage room. Small room, 3 by 3 meters, no windows, only door locked from the outside. I've been here half an hour, hands tied, phone taken, but radio in pocket, they didn't find it. In half an hour they'll come, take me out, throw me into the fog. Tim, if you hear, I need help. St. Francis School, basement, storage room at far end of the corridor. Sarah and Emma upstairs, in room on 2nd floor, 3rd on the right down hallway. Save them. If you can't save me anymore, save at least them, please. Time short. Service in half an hour. Tim.
Jack, they came for me. After they took you, 10 minutes passed. 2 of Pastor's helpers entered room, said Pastor wants to see me, brought me to his personal office, former principal's office, big with bookshelves, writing desk. Pastor sat at desk, hands folded before him, face calm, smile soft, almost paternal. Suggested I sit. I sat, held Emma's hand. She trembled. Pastor started speaking, voice melodic, lulling, said he understands my pain, that husband for wife is sacred bond, that separating family is sinful. I felt hope, thought maybe he'll release Jack, maybe show mercy. Foolish me. Pastor said, "Your husband will be thrown into fog in an hour. At evening service, this is decided and unchangeable. But I can save him if I bring a replacement." I didn't understand at first. Asked again, "Replacement?" He nodded, explained calmly as if offering goods exchange at market. Someone must die today. Service requires sacrifice. If not your husband, then someone else. Any community member. Whoever I choose. I stood silent. Brain refused to understand. Pastor continued. He said, choice is simple. My husband or stranger. My family or someone else's life. I have 10 minutes to decide. If I don't choose, husband dies. If I choose, I'll save him, but condemn another. He took out a sheet of paper, list of names, whole community, 103 people. Put it in front of me, held out pen, said, cross out one name, any. This person will take your husband's place in fog. I looked at the list. Names swam before eyes. Mary Collins, 81 years old. Kind old lady. Shared last piece of bread with Emma. Kevin Pratt, 15 years old. Teenager, played with Emma, told her stories. Jessica Turner, 26 years old. Young mother with 3-month-old baby. Robert Hayes, 42 years old. Math teacher, tried to organize school for kids in the community. Dozens of names, faces I knew for a week. People I prayed with, ate with, talked with. Who to choose for death? Pastor looked at me patiently, waited. Said he understands my hesitation, but choice inevitable. Either I choose or he chooses for me, and it'll be my husband. I took the pen. Hand trembled so much could barely hold. Read names, one after another. Behind each name, face, story, life. Mary, old but kind, not much left to live. Maybe easier to choose her, but she has grandchildren somewhere waiting for her. Kevin, young, whole life ahead, can't condemn child. Jessica, mother of a baby, if she dies, who will care for child? Condemn the baby to death by starvation? Robert, alone, no family here. Maybe him. But he's a good person, useful, teaches children. I couldn't choose. Physically, couldn't cross out any name because any choice, murder, direct, conscious murder of innocent person. Pastor looked at watch. Said 5 minutes past. 5 left. Emma pulled my sleeve, whispered, Mom, save Daddy, please. I looked at her face. 7 years old. She doesn't understand what I'll have to do. Pastor said, time's running out. Choose, or I choose for you. I looked at the list again, at names, and understood.
I can't choose who dies instead of Jack, even for husband, even for family, because I'm not God, not judge, not executioner. Put pen on desk, said, won't choose. Can't. If Jack must die, let him die, but not by my choice, not by my hand. Pastor looked at me long, then nodded, said, understand. You chose strangers instead of family. Interesting decision. Weak, but principled. Stood up, approached the door, opened, nodded to helpers outside, said, take her back, service in 20 minutes. Husband will be first. They took me out, brought me to room, locked from outside, and was crying.
asking why I didn't save Daddy. I can't explain. How to explain to a 7-year-old girl that Mommy refused to kill Stranger for Father? Jack, forgive me. I didn't save you, but couldn't kill another. Maybe I'm coward. Maybe bad wife. Bad mother. But I'm not murderer. Won't become one, even for family. Forgive me.
Base? Anyone? This is Tim Vallis, and I don't know how much time I have left to tell this, but someone should know what happened at St. Francis School tonight, because what I saw, Lord God, what I saw there will turn me into person who wakes up in cold sweat every night until end of my days, if end ever comes. I waited outside as Jack and I agreed. He infiltrates, finds family, leads them out quietly through basement, and I cover perimeter. Watch so no one notices, doesn't raise alarm. Plan was simple, clean, should have worked in half-hour maximum, but hour passed, then hour and a half, then 2 long, agonizing hours when I sat in bushes opposite school, stared at boarded windows and felt how fear slowly, methodically crawls into chest, wraps around heart with cold fingers, and whispers that everything went wrong, that Jack's in trouble, that I lost him. And then heard his voice on the radio, distorted by interference, gasping, desperate, caught, held in basement, in our execution, will throw into the fog in front of whole community as sacrifice to this insane cult. And I understood there's no time for thinking, that either I act now, immediately, or my best friend of 15 years, man I promised to save his family, will die most agonizing death in the jaws of creatures from the gray fog. Gathered people, everyone left. Kyle, paramedic, 26 years old with kind face and firm hands. Rita, sniper, 32 years old, mother of 2 kids somewhere in Kansas she hoped to find someday. Hank, 40 years old, former firefighter with a scar across whole cheek from a burn. Marco, 45 years old, climber who did Everest 3 times and said after mountains nothing scary. How wrong he was. 5 of us against 100 fanatics in fortified building, but there was no other choice. Moved to school at dusk, crept through shadows between broken cars and piles of garbage, and twice we had to freeze, press against walls, hold breath while Madden passed by. 3 of them, former people with white eyes and bloodied mouths who wandered aimlessly down street, bumped into poles, cars, each other. And one of them stopped 2 meters from me, turned head my direction, sniffed, and I saw nostrils flaring, jaw dropping inhumanly wide, and I was sure he'd attack now. But after eternity of 5 seconds, he turned and shuffled away, and I exhaled air I held in lungs till pain. Approached school, surveyed perimeter. Main entrance boarded with boards in 3 layers, back exit welded with metal sheets, all first floor windows blocked with plywood except one, west side. Classroom, window intact but taped from inside with some film. Our only chance. Hank broke glass with rifle butt. Sound seemed deafening in night silence, but inside school no one reacted. Maybe didn't hear, maybe didn't pay attention. We crawled inside one after another, ended up in an empty classroom where desks were pushed to walls and mattresses lay on floor, bedroom for some community members. Went into hallway and immediately ran into patrol, 2 big men with baseball bats, pastor's helpers doing rounds. One of them saw us, opened mouth to shout alarm, and Kyle shot first. 1 shot in chest. Man flew to wall, left bloody trail on wallpaper, slid down. Second still managed to shout 1 short yell before Rita put bullet in his head. But yell was enough. From all sides came footsteps, shouts, tramping feet, and in seconds hallway filled with people.
Started shootout in confined space of school corridor, where the smell of gunpowder mixed with the smell of unwashed bodies and fear, where each shot echoed off walls and hit ears, where community members threw themselves at us with fanatics howl, ready to die for their insane profit. They threw everything at hand, broke chairs over our heads, stones flew like projectiles, knives flashed in the light of our flashlights, and I saw faces of these people, not malicious, not cruel, but emptied, washed out by fear and submission to point they stopped being people and turned into obedient puppets in puppeteers' hands. Hank got knife in the shoulder. Blade went into hilt, and I saw his face contort with pain, how he fell on knee and crowd of community members covered him with a wave, and they beat him, trampled, tore, until Kyle started shooting over their heads, scattering these maddened fanatics. Marco was knocked down, and 5 men started kicking him, methodically, cruelly, kicked ribs, head, stomach, until Kyle pulled him out, literally dragged by jacket collar, leaving bloody trail behind them. We broke through to basement like through thick, viscous mass of human bodies, every meter given with fight, with blood, with pain, and when we finally descended stairs, pursuit rushed behind us. I looked back and saw about 30 people on steps. They descended like wave, howling, screaming, demanding our blood. Found basement, long, dark corridor with peeling paint on walls. Found storage room at far end, door bolted from outside. Tore off bolt, threw open door, and there was Jack. Tied, beaten, with face covered in bruises and dried blood, but alive. And when our eyes met, I saw such gratitude, such relief in them that almost cried right there. Cut ropes, lifted him to feet. He could barely stand, legs buckling, but he found strength to ask about family, about Sarah, about Emma. And Kyle said he saw them during sweep of the building, 2nd floor, 3rd room, right down hallway. We moved upstairs, broke through crowd of community members trying to stop us, and I no longer aimed carefully, just shot into massive bodies, saw people fall, writhe, bleed, and felt nothing. No guilt, no regret, only cold necessity to keep moving forward. Reached 2nd floor, found room, kicked in door, and there they were. Sarah with Emma, alive, frightened, pressed against each other in corner, and Jack rushed to them, hugged both, and for a second, for one short, precious second, I saw something like hope, like happiness, like meaning of all this nightmare. But second ended, because from below came a scream. A female voice, hysterical, piercing, yelled that doors open, that someone opened back exit, that fog rushing inside. And I understood that some community member, in panic, in fear, in attempt to escape, or maybe even intentionally, in an act of self-destructive madness, threw open door leading outside, into the gray fog, and let in what dwells there. Sounds came second later, footsteps, but not human, but some wrong, jerky, fast, like hundreds of feet pounding the floor simultaneously in a chaotic, insane rhythm. And screams. Lord, screams. These weren't screams of pain, not screams of horror. This was squealing of cornered animals who understand their life measured in seconds, that there's no salvation, that death coming for 'em, and it's hungry, and it's slow, and it'll eat them alive. I looked out into the hallway and saw them, creatures from the fog. And now when they weren't in gray mist, but in the light of school's electric lamps, I could make out every disgusting detail.
3 meters tall, bodies thin, elongated, disproportionate, skin gray-green, covered with some slime that dripped on floor and left smoking traces. Arms too long with fingers ending in claws like knives. Heads elongated with huge black lidless eyes and mouths that opened 180 degrees, showing rows of needle teeth. They moved in jerks like broken marionettes,
grabbed people with these long arms, lifted in the air and started eating. Not killing first. No, they ate alive, tore off pieces of flesh with teeth, chewed, swallowed while victims still screamed, still twitched, still conscious, and saw own body disappearing into these terrible jaws. Panic seized school instantly. 100+ people rushed to run simultaneously in different directions, crushed each other, trampled fallen, and creatures methodically, calmly, almost lazily grabbed one after another, and school hallways turned into a slaughterhouse, where walls covered with blood spray, where floor became slippery from entrails, where air filled with the smell of torn guts and death. I shouted to Jack to take family and run to windows, to West Wing where we entered, where glass already broken and can get out. Jack grabbed Sarah by one hand, Emma by other, and dragged them down hallway, and Kyle and Rita and I stayed covering, shot at creatures, and bullets worked. I saw one fall with hole in chest, a black liquid gushed from the wound, but there were too many. That kept pouring wave from all doors, all turns. Marco couldn't run, stomach ripped by claw strikes, still in hallway, guts spilling out, and he held them with hands, tried to push back, but understood it's the end. He shouted to us to run, not wait for him, and I saw in his eyes not fear, but strange relief. Finally, it'll all end. Finally, he can stop fighting. 3 creatures surrounded him, and last thing I saw how they covered him with their bodies and his scream cut off with wet crunch. We ran to window, where Jack already helping Sarah climb out, then passing Emma, and I looked back one last time, saw Pasture at other end of hallway, he also running to exit, abandoned his flock, his community, saving only his hide, and his face no longer blessed and calm. This was face of rat fleeing sinking ship, and I wanted to catch him, wanted to make him answer for everything he did, but there was no time because creatures were 3 meters behind us. Kyle and Rita were last, 3 of us covering Jack's and his family's retreat. Shot without aiming, just emptied clips into gray mass of bodies creeping on us. And then one creature stretched its long arm, grabbed Rita by ankle, and I saw claws enter her flesh, went through skin and muscle like through butter. She screamed, turned, emptied whole clip into its face from half-meter. Creature's head exploded, fountain of black liquid splashed both of us, and liquid was hot, burning, corroded skin like acid. But grip of dead fingers didn't weaken, and Rita was dragged back into the crowd of creatures. And I grabbed her hands, tried to pull toward me, but strength was inhuman. I literally played tug of war using person as rope. Rita looked me in eyes, and in her gaze I read request, plea, let go, save others. Don't let me turn into food for these creatures while I'm still alive and conscious. I let go of her hands, and she disappeared into gray massive bodies instantly, like she was sucked into a swamp, and I heard her last scream, short, cut off, full not of fear but rage. She screamed not from pain, but from anger that it all ends like this, that she won't see her children in Kansas, that last thing she'll see is monsters' jaws. Kyle and I jumped out window, fell on grass outside, and nearby stood Jack with Sarah and Emma, alive, unharmed. And second before I felt relief, I heard sounds from school, screams that multiplied, grew, filled whole building, and then started cutting off one after another, like someone turning off microphones in turn.
103 people screamed, then 90, then 70, then 50, then 20, then 10, then 3. Then one last voice howled in night, prolonged, desperate, knowing its last, that soon silence will come. And silence came. School fell silent.
103 people dead in 5 minutes. Devoured, digested, turned into food for creatures from fog. Of 8 people who started assault, remained 3. Kyle, me, and Jack, plus Sarah and Emma. 5 survivors from over 100. Jack looked at me with eyes full of gratitude and said I saved them, but I shook my head. Because I didn't feel like savior, I felt like person who led good people to death, who saw Marco holding his entrails with hands, how Rita dragged into gray mass, how Hank trampled by fanatics. And only thing I did right is that not everyone died. Jack asked what now, and I looked at horizon, where gray wall of fog stood motionless, impenetrable, and said now, we run. Because school dead, city dead, maybe whole world dead. And all we have left is run and hope that somewhere there, beyond the fog, beyond mountains of dead and devoured, there's place where we can stop and stop running. We ran into night, away from school where light still burned in windows and where creatures feasted among corpses. And I knew I'll remember this night till end of life. We'll see Marco's and Rita's faces every time I close eyes. We'll hear those screams every time silence comes. But we're alive. 5 out of 100. And that must mean something. Must.
Jack Coleman. A month has passed since we left Denver. A month since St. Francis School turned into grave for 103 people. A month since I reunited with family I abandoned for duty. We're in the mountains, safe as far as that word even has meaning in a world that died. Fog doesn't rise above 2,500 meters, and we live at 3,000 in old hunting cabin where it's cold, hungry, but at least we're not being eaten alive, surviving. 5 of us. Me, Sarah, Emma, Tim, Kyle. 5 people out of millions. I've thought a lot this past month about choices I made, about price of those choices, about whether they justified themselves. When fog came, I chose duty instead of family, went to save students instead of returning to wife and daughter. Seemed right then. I'm a rescuer. I took oath. 6 young people needed help, and my family had Tim who promised to save them. I didn't save students. Found them too late. 3 dead, 2 alive, and the one I saved chose to return to the fog because couldn't live with what she became. 0 saved out of 6. Perfect failure statistics. And my family survived by miracle without me. Sarah killed, hid, ran, protected Emma alone, without husband who should have been there. Ended up in a cult, almost died there. Tim saved her, who risked life for stranger's family because gave promise to friend. Sometimes at night I think, what if I'd chosen differently? What if I'd returned to the city, to Sarah and Emma, instead of climbing into the fog for students? Maybe I'd have made it before fog covered Denver. Maybe I'd have gotten them out of city, found safe place, spared them from the horrors they saw. And students? They would have died without me. But they died anyway, with me or without, results the same. So what was point of my choice? Sarah doesn't talk to me. Well, talks about necessities, pass the salt, bring firewood, check the roof, but doesn't really talk. We sleep next to each other for warmth, but between us is a chasm width of that choice I made. Sometimes I try to explain, justify, say I thought I was doing the right thing, but she looks past me, as if I became invisible, and I fall silent. Emma's broken. A 7-year-old child saw death, violence, cannibalism, cult, massacre, saw how mommy kills people,
How Daddy chooses strangers instead of his family. How 100 people die in 5 minutes. This is too much for a child's psyche. She stopped talking, stopped playing, stopped being a child. Just exists like a plant, breathes, eats, sleeps, but doesn't live. And this is my fault. If I'd been with them from the beginning, maybe Emma wouldn't have seen what she saw. Maybe I'd have protected her from the worst. Maybe she'd still be my daughter, not an empty shell with dead eyes. But I made a choice, and now I live with the consequences. Tim says I'm too hard on myself, that it was impossible to foresee how it'd all turn out, that I did what I thought was right, and that's all you can ask of a person. Maybe he's right. Don't know. I only know one thing. World didn't end when the fog came. World ended when we started making impossible choices, when we started deciding who deserves to live and who doesn't, when humanity became a luxury we can't afford. I chose duty, Sarah chose family, Lisa chose to kill Brad to survive, Emily chose to eat friends, Pastor chose power at the cost of 100 lives. We all made choices, all thought we were doing right, all were wrong. Maybe that's the essence. There's no right choice in hell. There are only choices and consequences, and an attempt to live on despite the burden of guilt. I don't know if Sarah will forgive me. Don't know if Emma will return to life. Don't know if this nightmare will ever end. I only know I'm here, they're alive, and I'll protect them to the last breath, because that's the only thing left, love that survived hell and choice and guilt. Maybe that's enough. Maybe.